What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, I get accused of being a Disney apologist and or a Marvel shill all the time, and trust me, it's not true. I'm probably just a little biased in my optimism, and that's only because of how big a Marvel fan I am. It's going to take more than a bad phase or a couple of bad movies to ruin the whole Marvel fandom. I feel like there are a lot of casuals who picked up Marvel with the MCU. They really need to read some comics, but not even I can defend Thor 4 Love and Thunder. And for a phase that's probably correctly labeled as Marvel's weakest in Phase 4, it's the real standout for the biggest disappointment and released by Marvel in the last couple of years, and really only because of how high the bar was set with the third Thor film. In Ragnarok, Taika Waititi did such a good job with the character, and that film, you just expected way more. Well, that would have been a terrible place for Marvel Studios to leave the character, and that's why I personally got excited when we started hearing rumors stemming back to months ago that a Thor 5 could be a possibility. Now, I cast a little bit of doubt on this when we heard the announcement, only because major Hollywood trades like Deadline and The Hollywood Reporter immediately debunked it, said no, Thor 5 is not in development. And Bob Iger, the returning CEO, and upon his return, had already said, do we really need a fourth and fifth film for all these characters? Well, in the case of Chris Hemsworth Thor, yes, you do, because you need to redeem him and not leave his character wherever it was at the end of that fourth movie. And now we are getting great news and an official update from Taika Waititi himself that indeed Thor 5 is in development over at Marvel Studios. This in a recent interview with Inverse. We're going to break down exactly what he said, there were some other details in tow, and then talk about what this film will look like. And based on the list of Chris Hemsworth quotes we've got right here, it's going to be completely different than Thor 4 Love and Thunder. We're breaking it all down. Thor 5 officially in development at Marvel Studios. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. We've got one next month for What If and one the month after for Echo. Again, all you got to do is sub, leave a comment if you want. Stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this was the latest report from Inverse.com under the headline exclusive Taika Waititi confirms he's not directing Thor 5. But Chris Hemsworth is in talks for return, where they go on to report, quote, Taika Waititi has a lot on his plate. The director of the upcoming sports comedy Next Goal Wins is due to adapt the acclaimed anime series Akira, as well as the bestseller Clara and the Sun, and somewhere in there he's still got to make a Star Wars movie. But one thing's not on his plate in the increasingly crowded docket, Thor. In an interview with Inverse, Waititi confirmed that he's not currently working on Thor 5, which would be a hypothetical follow-up to his divisive Thor Love and Thunder. Waititi said that while he has heard star Chris Hemsworth and Marvel are in talks about making a fifth Thor movie, Waititi needed to take a break from that. He went on to say, quote, it's a very draining process working on these films for 2.5 years nonstop. Now, as I echoed moments ago in the prologue, this isn't our first time hearing any of this. In fact, the most recent report last week is that Taika Waititi would not be directing Thor 5, and you don't have a report that someone's not directing something unless that film is getting made. Here he is not only confirming he's not directing it, which I know is going to make a lot of fans happy because it really does need a refresh, and we're going to get one. We're also going to get into in just a second what Chris Hemsworth has said they want to do for Thor 5, but also he's confirming that Marvel Studios and Chris Hemsworth have talked about it, and that came a couple of months ago from two trusted industry insider sources. Again, as I said during the prologue, there were some Hollywood trades that were quick to debunk that, but those sources persisted that it was happening. Here we are now hearing from Taika Waititi that that's absolutely true. Now, it's still a question mark as to where they're going to fit this film into the schedule. I know it's very likely that Secret Wars ends up getting moved again, and even more likely they end up adding a phase in Phase 7 to the Multiverse Saga. That being said, there's a ton of unannounced films we now know are loosely coming, like Shang-Chi 2 and Doctor Strange 3, still leaves question marks as to where they would put this, but as I will mention, with all the reports and the persistence of people talking about this fresh reboot for the MCU, where they can recast legacy characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, to have new actors in those roles alongside the X-Men and going forward in the MCU, you would think for a legacy character like Chris Hemsworth, he's going to say his goodbye and before the Multiverse Saga is over. That's why I think if they end up pushing forward with Thor 5, producing this film and putting it out, it'll be before the end of the Multiverse Saga, and yet just another little piece of evidence I'm going to put in the folder, we're not getting Secret Wars until 2030. Now that said, Chris Hemsworth has been rather candid about what he'd like to see for the next Thor, as he admitted Thor kind of, quote, lost his mind in the last one, and also that they would have to, quote, do something completely different. These were his quotes this summer with Variety. Quote, "I've got to be careful how I word that because I have no idea what's happening in the next phase," Chris Hemsworth said in response to being asked about Thor 5. "There's always conversations. Before anything is official, people are throwing around ideas, but officially, I don't know. I don't want to continue to do it until people are so exhausted that they roll their eyes when they see me come on screen as that character. If an audience wants to see it, if there's something that we believe is exciting and fun, then great. I loved being able to reinvent that character a few times. I don't have an answer yet, but I would love to try and figure out how we can do it again and keep it a little unpredictable. I think we just had too much fun and it just became too silly." Quote, "It's always hard being in the center of it and having any real perspective. I love the process, it's always a ride, but you just don't know how people are going to respond." And he concluded by saying this, "I love the experience. I love the fact that I've been able to do something fairly different throughout the process. Thor 1 and 2 were their own thing, Thor 3 and 4 were a very different feel, and then even Avengers, the Lebowski Thor, the Infinity War Thor, due to different directors, and I think mostly my own need to do something different." So he's being extremely candid here that he's down to come back for Thor 5, and it would be great if they have something fun and exciting for him to do, but he wants to go with a completely different feel, and as he said, they had too fun and it got too silly, and I think even he knows Thor 4 was not the film that we all expected or wanted it to be in the shadow of Thor Ragnarok. Now, I certainly don't need them to rehash Thor in any certain way, specifically from his previous movies. I think that Thor 1 through 3 had a lot of faults, they also had a lot of great things, and Ragnarok was a great tone for the character. But I also agree bringing in a new director and taking a new direction with it would probably be the best thing for the franchise, and if you're going to do a 5th installment. Now, there are still plenty of storylines left over from Thor 4 that make sense in the context of the Multiverse Saga. The first one, of course, is Hercules and expanding that side of the mythology before he joins the Avengers, him versus Thor. We can expect that in Thor 5. The second is the post-credit scene with Jane Foster arriving at Valhalla. She may be done as her time as Lady Thor, but in the comics, and slightest spoiler warning here if you want to back out, she returns as Valkyrie, and you can be assured that they didn't sign on Natalie Portman to come on and play a one role or a one-off. She knows what the deal is, and she will be back for Secret War. So I think there's still plenty to do in an interesting way with these characters, not to mention we still haven't seen the sunshine on Loki and Thor, and even though he seems like, for now, secluded at the end of time, the executive producers on Loki Season 1 and Season 2 admitted that maybe the ultimate plan here is to see Loki and Thor united to make good on his quote during Infinity War, right before Thanos crushes his throat. But you guys let me know all your thoughts down below, what you would want to see most out of Thor 5 and what you want to see out of the storyline and the tone that you want for his character. I think the semi-serious but a little comedic Thor, again the one we saw between Ragnarok and Infinity War, the solemn, sad Thor underneath it all, is the exact right tone for his character. You guys let me know all your thoughts below. I'm all ears. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we are still giving away PlayStation 5s here at the channel, and we've got 2 to give away in the next 60 to 90 days. The first one will be the finale of What If on the 30th of December. We've also got one to go out with Echo when it drops in January. We're going to do some giveaways throughout December as well for the holiday season. If you want to be entered to win, all the same rules will apply for all the future giveaways. All you got to do is be a subscriber, so hit the sub button, then leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name is Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places: Instagram and Twitter at @I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under the name Allfires. And while I'd sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.